Hello, Tony. Come on in to NiteLife Exchanges with me so we can greet the audience.
I couldn't
Today,
wait.
here we are. We've had some week, huh? It's been now this everything with the weather and all, but everybody seems to be forging ahead, going out, finding things to do.
A soggy day in New York is not going to stop us from having a good time. Come on.
Nope. And we have an incredible guest. I'm really looking forward to chatting with him today. NiteLife Exchanges is a program now that we are doing weekly where we get to interview and speak with people that are doing things in New York within the theater, cabaret, Broadway. We have a guest this week, Justin Ross Cohen. We're going to bring him on now, and we're going to start this interview.
Hey, Scott.
Hey, Justin.
Hey, Tony.
How are you, Justin? Nice to see you.
Oh, thank you. It's good to be seen and in such good company. You guys were just talking about the weather. So last night we had our third preview at Romeo and Bernadette, and it was pouring rain, and the house was sold out. But I thought, oh God, I know that some people are just not going to make it. And to my absolute delight, every single person that held a ticket made it last night. We're sold out again for this entire weekend, and as you can look out the window, it's pouring rain as well. So I hope we'll be as fortunate in that department. But it's wonderful to be here in any situation. What a couple of years we've all
yes, we have
experienced. Yeah,
this show has look. The other fact is that all of the performers that were in the show before the COVID hit came back.
Yeah,
that's an exciting fact for
it is. It's thrilling. It's thrilling. The audition process was so interesting a few years back because it was originally for a workshop of Romeo and Bernadette. It was not an actual LORT off-Broadway contract. And, there were some people that we'd asked to see come in, even offer. And they weren't interested in working for that kind of money. And it's very interesting. There's a wonderful saying, you may not get your first choice, but you get the right choice. And
so true.
We are so blessed with this company of actors, some of whom are so seasoned in their performances, have done countless Broadway shows, while others, literally, our Bernadette, graduated college, moved to Astoria, Queens on Friday, walked into our audition on Monday, and booked the lead in a new off-Broadway workshop, which led to a 5-week run at Art New York, which now has us in an official off-Broadway theater, and it's thrilling. So yeah.
We're going to go right to it. We're going to show the commercial that's been playing, so everybody gets a little bit of a feel of what it is that's happening at the theater.
I just saw it this morning while having my morning coffee and watching a certain news program. And here it is for all of you.
Romeo, yes, that Romeo, awakens and finds himself here in 1960 Brooklyn, searching for his beloved Juliet.
Behold, 'tis she.
No, that's Bernadette, the daughter of my boss, Sal Penza.
This kind of music makes my ears want to puke.
Surely must thou rememberest.
You talk like the Bible. Who are you supposed to be, my Romeo?
Thou rememberest.
If you like musicals, you like comedy, and you like Shakespeare, you'll love Romeo and Bernadette. For tickets, visit RomeoandBernadette.com.
So cute.
And of course, a lot of the scenes shot with the Brooklyn backgrounds.
Yes, well, all of them. I mean, there was the Opera House, which is supposed to be, the Verona Opera House,
right,
where all of this takes place. Romeo wakes up 500 years later after drinking a lot of that potion, which turned out not to be poison. And he's in 1960s Verona, where he sees this girl who's a spitting image of his beloved Juliet, but she's the mafia princess daughter of a mob boss who's there to visit family, and he mistakes her, follows her back to Brooklyn, and winds up getting involved in a war between two families of a different stripe, but nonetheless. Yeah, that commercial is adorable. It definitely gives the viewer an idea of the comedy in the show. And God willing, our next commercial will have them singing as well, because the voices of every one of the actors in the show is off the charts. It is absolutely thrilling to hear them night after night after night. The vocal arrangements done by Steve Ulrich, who worked on Jersey Boys, are phenomenal. Mark Saltzman, who wrote the show, I'm very honored to be working with him. A lot of the people watching might have laughed for decades at his work doing Sesame Street. He won 7 Emmys for that. But he's also a very well, I don't want to say that, I was going to say a lot more educated. Well, God knows Sesame Street certainly was very sophisticated for children, but he's currently working on a film that is in production in London with the likes of Dustin Hoffman and Dame Eileen Atkins and Derek Jacobi. So, yeah, our show has all of that richness and incredible verbiage and extraordinary singing, and a little fun dancing as well.
That's what they say.
And of course, it's running at Theater 555.
Yeah.
And the tickets are available at RomeoandBernadette.com. And
yes,
I suggest people get those tickets and get to the show. You and I do know each other for a little while. And the both of us have been around. I just wanted to say certain things that I didn't know about you. I've learned getting ready for this interview. And one of them was the fact that you had worked on a documentary that was about Paul Draper, which is something that we want to just bring to our audience. If they don't know who he is, we're going to bring Paul Draper to the audience in his own words.
Wonderful.
And then we'll come back and we'll talk to you about some of the history that you had of how you got into this business and how things have been going.
Oh, sure.
So let's take a look at that.
Here you go.
Many times I'm asked the question, isn't it mainly to do with one's feet, whether one is able to tap dance or not? And it isn't. There are only about 6 or 7 movements that you ever use with your feet. There's a brush forward, a brush back, a step, a heel, a toe heel, a scrape out, slap in. That's almost all there is, and a brush. Once you have learned those, which you could learn in 6 months of arduous application, you still would have no idea how to dance. To dance is to move in such fashion that you make someone else understand something about the relationship of a human being to the rest of the world that they haven't understood before.
And
I love that description.
Words, huh?
Well, Scott, what you kind of skipped over is the fact, the reason why I know Scott as long as I do is because Scott was kind of the equivalent of Mike in Chorus Line. His mom would bring his beautiful little sister Gina to her dance, to my mother's dance studio in Brooklyn, and Scott would sit there and watch. So I've known Scott since he was just a teeny tot, and Scott, I'm so proud of you and all that you have accomplished in these years.
And watching you Firstly, that was the Majestic Dance Studio on Coney Island Avenue in Brooklyn, about 2 blocks away from where I lived. Your mom had classes there. I mean, she's had upwards of 300 students at one time, and
yeah.
really busy. And you would be working with her and learning the craft from her in the studio, and I would be there and I would see you, and you were one of those people in the neighborhood that when you finally left the neighborhood, we were all really proud of the achievements that you made. So why don't we talk a little bit about that start of because you, as far as this goes, you were the director and the choreographer of Romeo and Bernadette, but with a long history and a lot of experience.
Yes. Well, if I may, just very quickly, just give you a little background on how I got involved with the Paul Draper documentary. Paul Draper's daughter, one of his daughters, is Kate Draper. She was in the original company of A Day in Hollywood, A Night in the Ukraine. And we became close during those years, both performing in different shows on Broadway. And when I moved back to New York a few years ago to get Romeo and Bernadette produced, Kate and I went out and caught up with each other, and she was telling me about her dad. And as soon as she said that, he would give master classes for Dance Masters of America, something rang a bell because my mother used to do that as well. And I just have this feeling that they somehow cross paths. Paul Draper is a phenomenon. And the reason why we did this documentary is so that his name does not go down and away in the history books. The documentary is now in the permanent collection of the Jerome Robbins Dance Division.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Draper, at the age of 24, was the first solo performer at Radio City Music Hall to sell out for 3 weeks. He was touring all over the world. He invented a technique that incorporated ballet and the upper body and the port de bras with the most insane tap work. As you saw in the clip, he stuttered. They flew him out to Hollywood. He was meant to be the next Fred Astaire. They teamed him with Ruby Keeler. They didn't know he stuttered. So all of his dialogue wound up being cut. He didn't like Hollywood. They weren't crazy about him. He came back to New York, became a big star until he was blacklisted. And that's another reason why we wanted to do the documentary, so that young people of today, you talk about the cancel culture. Well, when the government is canceling you inappropriately and unfairly and for no reason other than to benefit themselves, at any rate, I hope that everyone gets a chance to see Paul Draper, the aristocrat of tap. It was an honor. It was an honor to work on it and to watch daily these videos of him tapping. Scott, I grew up, on Coney Island Avenue in Brooklyn. I'm blessed with my mom being a dance teacher, but as long as I was being Gene Kelly, I was fine. Once I fell in love with ballet at the High School of Performing Arts. Oh my God, you're going to be wearing tights, because as Jewish boys, you know what that means. And not that she was wrong, but unfortunately, her toolbox only had, so much information. In those days, Boys in the Band was what people knew about. Right. As far as, gay men, gay children go. And, who wants their son to grow up to be, a horrible alcoholic,
Right.
But nonetheless, she kept me out of school every Wednesday to see a matinee. I saw everything under the sun. And then I got into Performing Arts High School, fell in love with ballet at 17, joined Houston Ballet. And then it took only one season to realize that I really was better suited, personality-wise, especially for Broadway. And God, by the grace of God, lucky that Bob Fosse and Michael Bennett and Grover Dale were all choreographing at that time in incredible shows. And I got to play Lewis in the Broadway production of Pippin when I was 19. And then Michael Bennett took a whole bunch of us, me, Sandal Bergman, Catherine Ann Wright, Vicki Frederick, out of Pippin and put us into Chorus Line a few months after they won the Tony, he shipped the New York company out to LA, and we were the New York company with Annie White playing Cassie. So yeah, timing, I mean, it's just lucky. And then timing, not so much on your side when all of our friends were dead or dying in the late 80s, and the whole face of Broadway change, and suddenly it was Andrew Lloyd Webber time, and you had to be a pop rock tenor, and I was not. That's when I started to shift into directing, and when I'm lucky, I get a chance to do both, act and direct. And as much as I enjoy, being the captain of the ship, it's also very nice to sometimes slip into a role and just be told where to stand. Is this my mark? Okay. Thank you.
And
so, yeah.
Of course, in this business, survival. And you have. And now you're here with a great show that people can see all of the work that you've done over your life will be something that will be revealed by what you've taught and trained and shown and directed in this production that you have coming up. We wanted to just talk about one other project that you had, because you did we could have done this interview for an hour and a half. There's been so much, but Elegies was a big project that occurred and you were involved in. And yes. We're going to just show a short clip. This is a song from the show with some interesting footage behind it that I think people will get a feel of what that period in time was like.
We played this dive in a village, somewhere on the edge. During the breaks I'd hang outside, have a smoke, sitting on a ledge. I'd watch the parade as it passed by, the junkies and hard to draw tears. And it felt so right to be sharing the night with angels, punks, and raging queens.
And so, a period of time captured through those photographs and through those lyrics that I think, honestly, we were lucky enough to be involved with that period when, as you said, there were so many great people from the past that was still around, and the new people coming in were able to learn. This is something that's not happening as much now as it did then. I think we lost a lot of the energy, and I wish we had it, but we've forged on. And
yes,
what did you do with that project? That was
that was the spectacular Lena Hall singing the opening song of the show. In 1989, Bill Russell, who wrote Sideshow, in response to the AIDS epidemic, wrote a show that was very much like Spoon River Anthology, a series of monologues that represented people who had passed from AIDS, inspired by the AIDS Memorial Quilt. And, we did it at the Ohio Theater, if it's still named that, down on, I think it's Wooster Street. And then we did it at the Rap Arts Center. And I asked Joe Papp to come, and he brought Colleen Dewhurst. And it was at a time when the disease was still rampant, and people were watching this after having just attended a memorial service, and the applause, the screams, the tears were audible in the house. And I hope that, that Joe would take it to the public. And he came back, and one of my fondest moments is he put his arm around me and he said, "Hey kid, good for you, for putting on this kind of a show. I used to be able to, but I can't afford it anymore because at that time, the cast was 33. Right. Now, with this new video that we made, the cast is 50, including God, Nathan Lane and Cynthia Nixon, J.K. Simmons, Anthony Rapp, Joaquina Calacango, Jesse Mueller. I mean, the list, I'm sorry if I'm leaving anybody out. Richard Chamberlain, Cherry Jones, Dane Howdyshell. It just goes on. And everybody was so giving because it was a benefit for Broadway Cares, Equity Fights AIDS. And the reason why it was done a year and a half ago on World AIDS Day, it was presented, is because of the pandemic that we were all going through. And Bill wrote a new monologue that Nathan Lane performs about somebody, a long-term survivor of HIV who had survived up until last year when he caught COVID. And that did him in. Yeah. It's a beautiful piece. It's full of humor, full of heart. I have directed it. I have performed in it. It has been done all over the world. Because of its size, it makes it cost prohibitive. But we have interest in it going further. So we're hoping to either get the video that was done on a bigger streaming service, or else record it again with hopefully these spectacular actors.
Again, Justin, you have such an incredible history and have been involved in so many different things, and we're excited about the things that you have coming in the future, including that project. So we're going to go back though to making sure that everybody knows you must go see Romeo and Bernadette, and we have another little clip here. But
if I may, it's a show about love. It was written to express love to an ailing partner. The reason why the actors came back, I believe, is because they love it. They feel the love from the audience. It's a glorious show, and I couldn't be more proud to be associated with it. But really, come if you want to really laugh. I mean, there were some big belly laughs in the show. And to hear singing that is off the charts. And I mean, the prices really, I mean, if you really want to know, I mean, at the moment, Eric Krebs is giving audiences such a deal.
Such a good guy.
And God
bless. I saw it before COVID, and I'm really thrilled that it's back.
Well, it's even better. There's four news. There's four. I re-choreographed 4 numbers.
So impressive.
Joseph Schroep's costumes are amazing. The budget, went up, and it shows on stage. It's just beautiful.
I mean, it was love notes from everyone about the show already, and just to think that you guys have what do you say? Given it an upgrade to use my my digital roots, but that's
let's
fantastic.
watch some of the scenes from Romeo and Bernadette.
Yeah, let's do it.
My grin, her glance could be another new romance. I shoot, I score, and then I'm boom in love once more.
The show is so fantastic. It's funny, it's smart, it's about Brooklyn, it's about Verona. Go see it.
It's surprising and fun and original. Everyone is so talented.
The show is so funny. Really, really hilarious.
Yeah, it was fun to get what would happen if Romeo didn't die.
If you flee, I will die here on this cursed spot. Juliet.
Don't you get I ain't your freaking Juliet?
No, la famille. Okay, all right. No, la famille. Take out some goon in a backstreet saloon, but no, la famille.
I thought Romeo and Bernadette was beautifully silly and fun, and all the actors were incredible.
Musical numbers are amazing. The vocal talent is insane. It's so good.
Yes, that's love. I guess that's love.
It kept me laughing throughout the show. The acting was phenomenal. The music was phenomenal.
In 2020, it seemed very natural. Come see it.
Oh, everybody should buy a ticket.
The
Let's
show.
go. Buy a ticket now. What are you waiting for?
Oh, when you
I will be back to see the show again.
Excellent.
And look forward to seeing all of these upgrades, as you put it. That really, and I'm glad that you took that time. You worked. Everybody was, figuring out what to do to just keep things moving and be ready. And we're back, and things are open. So again, Tony, the tickets are available at RomeoandBernadette.com. The Theater 555.
Yeah, I will just say, I'm sorry, Scott. I'm looking at the screen. There's no ampersand in the website. It's Romeo and Bernadette.
Yes, correct. Yes, it's okay. We're going to get people there. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you. Let's
do this again sometime soon.
Yes.
All right.
Tony, let's just say next week we have Karen Mason as our guest.
What a dear. What a dear.
And we're on our way. NiteLife Exchanges lets everybody know that there are things out there you must see. And you must get to the theater, and you must get to the cabaret.
We're doing everything possible to make sure that everyone feels very safe on stage and in the audience.
Excellent. All right, Justin, enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Yes, happy Saturday.
We're ready to roll here, Tony, with the end credits.
All right. See you next week.
Bye.